In this video, I will be talking about the 180-degree rule, one of the most widely used rules that are followed by many conventional films. First, let me start with spatial relations and its link with the 180-degree rule. Spatial relations are the use of space in order to achieve narrative continuity. Through editing, films can provide the audience with a reliable sense of space that constitutes the world of the film. So what is the 180-degree rule? The 180-degree rule is used to give the audience spatial awareness, meaning that the audience can understand and get a reliable sense of where characters are in the space in relation to each other. This can help the audience understand a scene without having to see a shot of the entire set. The principle of the 180-degree rule is that during a conversation between two characters who are looking at one another, the different camera shots alternating between a shot of each person and possibly both in the same shot should not go past 180 degrees of the subject or past the axis of action, which is the invisible line between actors. This is done in order to not confuse the audience by making them think that the location has changed or making them think that the actors have moved or facing completely different directions while having a conversation. The first film I will be analysing is the 1994 film Pulp Fiction, directed by Quentin Tarantino. In this scene, we can see that there is a conversation between Samuel L. Jackson's character, Jules Winfield,
Say what again? Say what again?
and Frank Whaley's character, Brett.
What?
Jules Winfield is looking downwards towards the lower right-hand side, whereas Brett is looking up towards the upper left-hand side. As the camera angles only stay between 180 degrees of the axis of action between the two characters, the audience can understand the spatial relations and the fact that the characters' line of eyesight are at each other, without having to have multiple shots of the set and the staging of the characters. If the camera were to go past the axis of action, the audience would find it difficult to understand the staging of the characters, and it would seem as if the characters were talking in completely different directions rather than at each other. In this next example, we can see that the two people are talking to one another. As each person speaks, the shot will switch back and forth to capture both people talking and their reactions to the other's conversation. The actor on the left is looking towards the right side of the shot, whereas the actor on the right is looking towards the left side of the shot. From this, we can see that this follows the 180-degree rule, as currently, the camera is not going past the axis of action. As it follows the rule, it is easy for the audience to understand the relation of the actors in the space and the fact that the actors are facing each other. However, if we were to film shots past the axis of action, the scene suddenly becomes much more confusing, and it is difficult to tell what part of the room the actors are in, where they are facing, who they are talking to, and whether or not these shots are from the same scene. Because it is not following the 180-degree rule, the actors might as well be facing the same direction while talking to each other. The final example is an extract from Stanley Kubrick's film The Shining. In this scene, we can see Jack Torrance, played by Jack Nicholson, and Delbert Grady, played by Philip Stone, having a conversation. In this scene, the 180-degree rule is purposefully disobeyed. The camera switches between the two characters while they are in conversation, which is occasionally switched to a wide shot of both talking. However, as the conversation progresses and the subject they are talking about becomes more disturbing, the camera passes the axis of action to show wide shots of the characters, but from the opposite direction. The 180-degree rule is broken, which creates disorientation and makes the scene much more confusing. This scene breaks the 180-degree rule and creates disorientation in order to connote the main character's deteriorating mental health as he develops into a psychotic character.